and welcome to this afternoon's Design Masterclass. And we are indeed live if you're watching us at 2 o'clock on this lovely Saturday. And if you're watching us at any other time, we're not. And therefore, if you see a product that you like, there's a bit more of a sense of urgency for you to call up, and hopefully we'll have some available for you. But if you are joining us live, the warmest of welcome. And even if you're not joining us live, you are warmly welcomed as well. Just in case you're ever wondering, this show isn't scripted. Right, so today's masterclass is with the very talented, incredibly knowledgeable Hannah Oxbury.
Good afternoon.
So this afternoon, we're going to look into multimedia.
Yes, we are, yeah. All encompassing, so we're starting with a polymer clay base and going through and using that alongside satin cord and also glitter.
Fab, fab, fab. So we'll have a look in just a moment. In fact, should we have a look now at some of the pieces that we're going to be looking at? So the idea of today's masterclass is you might be quite confident in one area and confident in the other, but it's really how we then start joining those together. And it's when you start joining those together, I think you get the best out of them, because otherwise a piece can just look very polymer clay, or it can look very satin cord, or it can look very beaded, or but it's when you start to bring elements of it, I think personally that's when it starts to look its best. So before we go over to Hannah, we've got an amazing launch of this fabulous pack for you first off. So did you see that in the bangle or the bracelet that you just saw? Basically everything that you can see there, once you've got this, you have got the components to make all of that. So this first bundle is all about the ingredients to make these pieces. So let's start off first of all, the clay itself. And we are going to be talking about the clay and how to use it, because this is of course a masterclass. If you have never used the clay before, grab it today. And I think this is going to be a really brilliant starting point actually, because it's the 2 packs. I love those colours, and really they do come to life when you see them. I must stress to you as well actually, when we go over to Hannah and when we start sort of dissecting and breaking down the pieces that she's made, you'll realise that these packs have hardly been touched. Literally, to make that jewellery, tiny amounts of this has been used, particularly when you just use the tools that we will touch upon as well. So we've got the gold. Now when it says accents on the front of it, that means that there's something else included, and you can probably just see on your TV screens there, it's got this very delicate glitter tone to it. And then we've got this lovely sexy lipstick red. So those are the 2 colours that have been brought in terms of the clay. So 2 packs of clay. Now then, you've got 2 lots of jump rings here. Are they both the same size? Yeah. They are, and they're saw cut. So you can go down the route of chainmail with these because they've been saw cut. Saw cut means that they have basically, if you were to cut a jump ring with a pair of pliers, because the way the pliers are, one end of the jump ring would go to sort of like a point, so they couldn't ever sit flush together. If they've been saw cut, they've been cut very, very directionally. We'll go with that. Straight point, so they can join back up together. Thank you for the support team. Thank you. So you have got there'll be 200 in total, so 200 black jump rings, and then this fabulous black satin cord. I think the fact that we make handcrafted pieces, handmade jewellery, the way that something feels is really important, and this feels absolutely lovely. And you're going to get 10 meters of the black satin cord. Now, I have used all of these elements before. These, however, are completely new to me. I've seen them demonstrated. I personally haven't actually had a tactile experience with these, so I'm really looking forward to this element for myself. Completely selfish. And dare I say, the Christmassy feel with the red and the gold glitter. We've got foxtail red and we've got the gold dust. Now you're going to get 15 grams in each. You don't actually know how much there is in there until you spill a pot as well, and then you realise that there's absolutely masses. So here is everything that you're going to get within the glitter and gold offer to kickstart our masterclass, okay? Are you ready for absolutely everything today that's there? And using the code at the top of your screen, so it's like a voucher code. If you use that code, it'll be a lot lower price than buying everything individually. Today, it is £11.95. So brilliant saving for you. Remember, it's only one post and packaging price. If you're watching this during our live experience, add it to your order from this morning's show, and of course you can shop on later today. Or regardless of how you're watching, if you buy this today, you can add it to your order and you're still only paying one post and packaging price for the whole day. So we're going to go over to Hannah now, and we're going to go and see what she's actually made. So those are the ingredients. We're going to touch on the tools that you've used, but in terms of the ingredients, hardly anything.
Absolutely.
Really.
And again, it's the sort of thing you can continue using. There'll be lots and lots of elements left over from just making these simple designs, and so you can create more and more and more and more, and also combine them. Why not, you know, combine the red and the gold and make really interesting, intricate jewellery as well.
Yeah, fab. Okay, so if we take a closer look at these now, it's just lovely to see it in context with other components that you wouldn't perhaps have necessarily thought about doing before. And you will learn how to do this. So if you're new to the world of sculpting clay, don't worry, we're going to talk you through. So which piece are we going to focus on first of all? This one?
The red piece, yeah.
Okay, look at this. So you've got the clay with a little sparkle interspersed between the satin cord. And then, oh, actually, do you know what? I thought it was one complete necklace, but in fact, there's 3 different levels.
Yeah, it's all about, obviously, upcoming seasons. You're looking at long line pieces, and yes, you certainly can make this in one piece. But it's much more fun if you're layering things up to do multiple chain, multiple clasps, so you can wear it as just 1s, 2s, or wear them all as a 3 together.
Fab, 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 fab. So we're going to focus on this one. Hannah Oxbury.
Take it away. So
Take it away, please.
I've already preconditioned my clay now. It's important to remember with clay, it can go quite soft underneath studio lights, but the best results, you need to condition it. Now that can just be simply grabbing a piece, cutting it off your block, and making a sausage. Making a little sausage, rubbing it between your hands.
Making a sausage. I'm quite jealous. I wish I was doing this at the same time. I should have set up. Okay.
Yeah. And what we're doing, every time we roll, we then bend. And as soon as you get to the point where the sausage itself isn't splitting through the top, you know you've reached sort of ultimate, optimal elasticity. So you know this clay is ready to use. Let me just roll it back into a sausage. And this is when...
So how many times would you do a sausage and then fold it over?
It depends on the clay itself. Some clay, I mean the red for example, is softer than what the gold is, so it takes more work.
Interesting, okay.
But it's all about just testing it and trying it out for yourself and having a play. Now that sausage goes into our extruder. This is a very heavily extruder-based technique.
Okay, so this is our first tool we're calling upon, and the details for this are going to come up on your screen. It's called the extruder, and you'll see very simply one end unravels, unwinds. So you're popping the clay in there.
The whole sausage into the extruder itself. And with the extruder you get several different shaped dies, they're called little discs. And for this tutorial, what we're using is not the smallest circle, but the next to smallest circle.
Okay, so you're going to get 20 different ones. They're all included. There you go. They're fab, because then you can do Father Christmas hair and all sorts of things with the really fine little ones.
Yeah.
And the price for the extruder is quite extraordinary. It's extraordinary extruder. That wasn't planned either. I know, witty. So £7.95. Now this actually is potentially the only tool that you'll need outside of your toolkit.
Yeah, outside of your toolkit.
Brilliant. Okay. So you've popped the sausage inside.
Yeah, the sausage is
inside. Put the cap on there, screw it on, and you're literally okay.
And then winding the plunger down, and you'll start feeling as soon as it comes into contact with the clay, there is a bit of resistance, but it's still really easy to move. It's not going to be difficult on your hands or whatever. Obviously, if you're doing this at home, you can do it towards you, so you're not working at a strange angle. But for the purpose of television, we shall persevere. Now, every extruder does make this squeak. It sounds like a little mouse is in the room, but that is normal. You don't need to worry that you've broken it or it's going wrong or whatever. But we're literally just extruding out plain red clay all the way down. And it doesn't matter what length you use. You'll see we cut this up eventually. So that's probably going to be enough for me to be getting on with at the moment. And I'm just going to cut that off with my blade. Now that blade does come in the polymer clay starter kit as well, if you did want to come in and get that today. So we've got a length of ribbon basically, and if you think about this whole masterclass as you would do if you were knotting in ribbon or cord, it's essentially the same techniques, but what we're doing is a much more structured piece. So we're going to take one end.
Oh, I think there's just a little bit of fluff there.
We've got fluff everywhere today. One end and tie. Now you do have to be quite gentle with it. You see, as I'm tying, I'm encouraging it round. I'm supporting all sides of the clay as well, because it can, you know, if you pull it too hard, it can stretch, it can break.
So it's patience is the key,
It is just
isn't
patience, yeah. And you see I'm feeding one side round as I'm pulling the other to make literally a knot in the clay.
Okay.
Now what I'm going to do is cut that down and put it to one side, because we just need to adjust that a little later. But it's the same technique. You just keep going with the length of the extruded clay, encouraging it round till it gets to the similar sort of size. Again, you don't have to be too technical with this. You don't need to make all of your knots exactly the same size. And you see I'm just putting them to one side until I'm ready to do the next stage. Now with this type of work, it is easier to have all your component pieces out in front of you, ready to go at a moment's notice. And again, cutting down. I'll leave that to one side. Now we get to this stage, and obviously what we want to do is just neaten up, and you've got to be thinking almost the next step involved. You want to be using these as a component part, as a link. So you need to ensure I use little cocktail sticks, but it's about moulding that piece into shape. Now, because I know the jump rings have got to go through these sides, what I'm going to do is just open that area a little bit more and just encourage the clay to stick down to itself. When I've got to the point where I'm quite happy with how that looks, I can take my blade and cut away the excess on one side.
And like Hannah said, if you're interested in those blades, they come in the starter kit for the Sculpey clay.
And again, we're doing the same on the other side. And you see what I'm doing is using my tail as a base. I'm encouraging that clay round. I'm making sure at any point in which the clay touches its underneath or over the top, it is fixed in place, because obviously the more joining parts that you have, the more parts that are hinged on one another, the more secure your design will be. And again, just cutting down at an angle to tidy and neaten that up. And that has created one of your knots. Now at this stage, what we can do is come in and add the glitter to this piece. But what I will probably show you is how to finish it in two different ways, because you can either add the glitter at this stage and it will give a light covering, which you'll see in the red necklace, or you can bake it and after it's baked, add the glitter and you'll have much more wider covering.
So if you have a look at those two examples here, so here we've got a very delicate fluttering little essence, and yeah, you can definitely see the difference, because then if we have a look at this necklace here, so this has been added after.
Yeah.
Okay.
After. So what we can do to add the glitter, I always worry about doing glitter on live television because it's ultra fine. Now,
it's all right, it's live TV, it's not like it's a load of pressure anyway.
No pressure, no pressure. The unique thing about this glitter and the glitter that we stock at JewelleryMaker is it's, again, ultra fine, meaning if you're using it in resins, if you're using it as a component part in jewel enamel, it doesn't sink, it actually stays to the surface.
And this is the glitter that's in the bundle that's at the bottom of your screen at the moment.
It is. It's anti-static, which means when you see when I knock it back through off the paper back into the pot, it won't stick to the paper.
Yeah.
And it's also machine washable.
Do you know, I didn't know that.
Machine washable as well. So if you're into your textile jewellery or simply embellishments on clothes, if you want to jazz something up for the upcoming seasons, you can use your glues.
Oh, I know, I didn't know that.
And yeah, use it as embellishments on clothing as well, and that will stay.
Oh,
It's machine washable.
okay, cool.
So if we're doing, say, a glitter piece on something that's not baked, it is just as simple as covering it all. And then I'm always using cocktail sticks, they're invaluable when it comes to polymer clay, and just lifting that and turning it. And you see already, you're only getting a hint, I'll pick that up on the cocktail stick, you're getting a hint of the glitter on it, but it's not, it's not encrusting it, it's not a really thick layer to it. Now this can then be baked in the oven
Right.
If you have our baking tray and bead rack baking tray, you can slip all these onto the pins in the rack and bake them in the rack as well.
And the fact that they have that, they won't lose that shape, the weight of them or anything?
No, they won't lose the shape because we're only baking at around about 120°C for 10 minutes. But what I always say, if you're working with polymer clay, test it out. You know, you don't want to put it in the oven and get the settings wrong for your oven.
Yeah, the ovens, they come... Yeah.
They do vary.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, in my oven, one side is hotter than the other. So I know that I bake my clay on one side of the oven because I know what temperature that's going to be. So it's all about just, you know, testing, trying it out, and just taking your time with these pieces as well. You don't need to rush them. You've got all the time in the world just to sit and create little knots and things. So that would be how to add the glitter to your pieces, and which is what I've done in this technique for this red design. Now, this is always a fun part. You can see that it is an anti-static glitter because if it goes right, there's hardly any left on the white sheet.
Oh yeah, that's fab.
As I tip it into the pot. Usually, you know, you're covered in glitter from head to toe when you start making with glitter pieces. But not this one, it's anti-static.
Okay, well at this moment, let me introduce to you to lots of different colours of clay that we have. So we've got a bundle of them right here, and this one is the purple, the white, but it's the white accents. It's lovely. It's got almost like a golden shimmer going onto it. If you wanted to enhance that, of course, there's the gold glitter that comes in the pack that we have already done. That lovely. Do you know what? That looks a lot more pink on your screen. It's more like verging on a salmony pink, actually. A lovely turquoise hue, and then the green. So green, turquoise, the white, the purple. I'm just going to see what it's actually properly referred to. Blush. Yeah, blush. Cool. Okay, so they are usually £1.95 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But a fabulous saving for you today. A few extra pennies back in your pocket. So £7.95 by buying it as a bundle offer today. And just let you know, £1.95, it's already incredibly competitive.
Absolutely.
So £7.95 on that bundle there. Okay, so back to you, Hannah.
Well, okay, let's imagine that we've already baked these pieces and they're ready to be used. So
just for anybody out there who's starting off new, one of those, or you've got a tray of those, how long and what temperature?
So we're doing roughly 120, depending on your oven, and for 10 minutes. Now, the great thing with clay is it will come out of the oven and it will still be soft. So if you find anything that needs a bit of a tweak, you can just adjust it at that stage. I always double bake mine, so I take it out of the oven after 10 minutes and I let it completely cool. What you can do after that point is pop it back in the oven for another 10 minutes at 120, just to ensure that you've baked it all the way through, that it's really, really solid.
So it doesn't do anything but just gives you peace of mind.
Yeah, peace of mind. Peace of mind on
great.
That. Okay, so with anything like what you're designing here, it's always great to have a end goal in sight. So I already knew as soon as I saw the glitters, as soon as I saw the polymer clay, I wanted a really striking piece, and I wanted to keep it really, really, really simple, because in essence, your jewellery making is an expression of your personality. I mean, for me, this is a bold design, this is fun, this is funky, but it's not too over the top. It's the sort of piece anyone can wear. So, end goal in mind, we're going to grab our jump rings. Now, these, as Lucy said, are all saw-cut jump rings. These are made of aluminium and they're a lovely black finish. And I just felt black and red go perfectly together for this season.
Yeah, quite vampy.
Quite vampy indeed.
Don't you think, Ben? Vampy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you see with the jump rings...
Thumbs up to the vamp.
You see with the jump rings, I'm opening them really, really nice and wide, because that gives me a lot more leverage as I'm trying to encourage them through the holes that I've made within the clay knots. To do that, it's much easier and a lot less sort of fingers and thumbs if you do it using your pliers. So I'm going to grab one of these, which hopefully will work on screen, and you see I'm supporting the entire polymer clay piece. I've got my fingers under both sides of the knot and my thumb on top as I push that little jump ring through. It's quite a snug fit. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to dangle about too much. But you'll see, because you've opened it correctly with your pliers, it's not going to distort the shape of the jump ring either. Onto that, we then slip one of the closed jump rings, and then we close that up. Now, as I said in the show earlier, I always use 2 pliers for this very reason, because it's much easier when you're using 2 pliers to encourage that round.
Less fingers and thumbs.
Less fingers and thumbs, and then you can just squeeze those down so they meet. And you would continue that process along a long length of chain. So I've got 1 jump ring through the knot, a second closed jump ring attached to that, and then that attaches in turn to a length of chain that you've created. And it's all about just sitting and going through, opening and closing your jump rings. Again, you'll notice to the side of me, I've got all my jump rings open and ready to go. Ooh. And we're closing that off. To create a really long length of chain. Now you can make these any length you want. You can make that then into a bracelet or into drop earrings. But for me, I decided to layer it up with 3 chain look, because it's what, you know, the in-season style is at the moment. If you go to any sort of boutique jewellers and things, it's all about layering, and you need to sort of develop that into your jewellery making techniques at the moment. So you can continue feeding through all the jump rings until you're happy with the length at which your chain is sitting. You see, grabbing the jump ring in the middle, holding the clay and encouraging that through. Closing it with 2 pliers, just because it's a lot easier on the hands and the nails. Closing that through. Once we've got to a stage where we're happy with the length and everything's sitting nicely and it's how you want your particular design to be made, we can finish it with the cord. Now, I'm using the black satin cord because it works perfectly alongside the jump rings there. And I'm just going to snip a length down. Obviously, if you're making on 3 layers, it's easier to make on a bust because you have much clearer idea of how this piece will sit and what length this piece will sit at. But we're just literally, it's all about every element that you use, you want to try and maintain that look of the knot through the design. So we folded over the satin cord, slip that through the end jump ring in your design and fold it back over itself, grabbing the other 2 ends and creating a knot, because that again is a lovely feature to the piece rather than, you know, just crimping it in place.
I was half expecting you to put another jump ring on there, so it sort of saves on components.
It does,
as well.
It really does, because you're literally tying straight onto the jump ring. And the other nice thing, you can actually move the jump ring around and hide the join underneath that satin cord as well. When it comes to finishing the necklace, I've actually finished with some gold extended clasps, and all you need to do is run the length down, pop those pieces of cord through, and you see I'm holding that really tight. I've got the length tied through my fingers and I'm putting pressure to ensure that stays in place. And I'm just going to fold one side over, pushing that down.
Do you ever put a little bit of glue in or anything?
You can do, actually. It makes it a lot safer, and obviously if you're looking to sell on these pieces, it's all about those finishing elements.
It depends on the weight as well.
It does depend on the weight. I mean, polymer clay pieces are quite light, but if you're making to sell, it is always good to use those extra safety techniques, because you know you have confidence in your jewellery that it's not going to, you know, God forbid, come apart or anything like that if you do use your glue. So there we go, we just crimp off simply, as simple as that, for your length of chain. Now you can create several layers of those to make different long line pieces like we can see in this design.
And that is just fab. I love the sort of slight, as you just move it around, you get a twinkle, glitter, just from those little dabs of glitter.
It's lovely just because there's just a suggestion of glitter in this piece. And what you can actually do, if you want to experiment with your polymer clay, you can mix the glitter into it. You can literally grab your polymer clay, roll it out flat using your pasta machine and sprinkle glitter into the centre, fold and put it through the pasta machine, and keep doing that until you've got an even spread of glitter throughout the piece.
So using your pasta machine, okay, fab. Now if you did see the show live today, I've just realised that I don't actually know the date of today. It'll probably help because we're recording this. What's the date today, please? Anybody got the date today?
Is it the 21st?
The 21st, thank you. It's the 21st of September, yes it is. The 21st of September today. So if you have seen the show today, the reason I'm so keen on knowing the date is that we have an offer today running. That's $6.95 instead of $14.95 for the clay roller. If you're watching at any other time, I can't guarantee that we're going to be honouring that offer. So if you are watching today, $6.95. So you think you'd put the clay on, sorry, you put the glitter on top of the clay, and you then push it through the pasta machine?
Initially you'd condition the clay, roll it through the pasta machine, so you've got a clay sheet to work with. You can sprinkle your glitter into the centre of that, fold it, and because you're using the pasta machine, you always put the fold back into the pasta machine as well, because that gets rid of any air bubbles throughout the clay.
So you put that in that way first, so then when you push it through, the glitter's going to come to the surface.
Yes, that's right.
Lovely. Oh, that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
So again, it's another technique that you can try. You can come and grab the polymer clay bundles. We've got another glitter bundle coming up as well.
Yeah.
And it's all about just trying it out.
Great, okay.
So what we're going to see now is...
Back to the extruder.
Back to the extruder, because I need just a little bit more clay to finish the pendant and bracelet technique, which just shows one knot rather than several knots. So again, nice and squeaky as always.
Or several knots. Oh no, one knot. Several knot. What?
One knot.
Oh.
We'll see. Okay, so extrude that through. So I've got a nice length. I can use the length that I had earlier as well. Now obviously for the pieces I have made for the show, they are made in gold. But it's nice to show you how to make it in a different colour as well, because it gives a different technique.
Oh, wasn't expecting
That's a little bit of a pop at the end. That just means a little bit of hair has been caught in the polymer clay itself.
Oh, so yeah. Got my heart going then. Okay.
So we've got two lengths here of polymer clay. Now what we need to create is, I sat for quite a while looking on the internet at different knots that you can do, which sounds incredibly protracted, but actually what you can do is, it's experiment. You don't have to stick to a simple overhand knot. You can do different knots with your polymer clay and achieve really different looks as well. So in the case of the pendant and in the case of the bracelet, I can't remember for the life of me, I think it's maybe a square knot that I've used in those designs.
Oh, now then, I did do brownies and I did go to Scouts for a little while with my dad when he was a leader, but I don't know.
I can't remember, but there we go.
It looks really nice in jewellery knot.
Jewellery knot. There we go. So to create this knot, I've taken two lengths of polymer clay. Now, you've kind of got to wrap them around each other, and it's easier to work with lengths that are roughly the same size. We will cut them down in a little while. Oh, completely lost my blade.
There it is.
Hiding under my multitude of tools. There we go. Cut that down. So we're left with two lengths that we folded over. Now, this is the interesting bit, if I can remember how to do it. So you see I've crossed one loop under the other loop. Then what I'm going to do is take my two tail ends and come back through that same loop. There we go. So that is how we do the knot. And again, just as we did with the original knot, you want to encourage them to sit closer together. So you see I'm gently pulling because I don't want to stretch my clay, but I'm also just moulding those into shape and into the knot design itself, like so. And that creates your knot. Now from this point you can either go one of two ways. You can create it into the bracelet design, or you can create it into the pendant design as well. Okay, so we're going to do a little pendant design on this one. So I'm going to take the top two threads and I'm just going to fold them gently around. Now you see we have started a little bit of a split on the top there, and that's just simply because the clay is getting quite warm in the studio.
Okay.
If you do see that at home, don't worry, you can just start again, and that's the beauty of jewellery making.
So literally you just scrunch that up.
Scrunch it back up, pop it back in the extruder, make a little sausage out of it, and make again.
Okay.
So you see I've folded that back round. Now again, as we saw earlier with the knot, you want to ensure all areas are touching another part of clay, because that gives the piece structure and that gives the piece strength. Now, we also know that the centre of the knot is open, so you don't want to run your threads through because you'll see them in the design. So we're going to cut them down at an angle, because I can see on the edge here it's going to cut through to the first part of the top of the knot, if you like. I'm going to cut at an angle and then just peel those away.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
So pop those to one side.
And that sticks itself?
It sticks itself, but again, like with everything, it is the best idea just to encourage that clay to stick together. So taking a cocktail stick and holding the rest of the clay, you can just start gently tapping that down, shaping that down, and just encouraging it to sit and bond to the other clay around it. And it doesn't matter too much, you don't have to be too neat at this stage, because this is going to be or form the back of your pendant. Let's turn that around, and you do the same on the other side. So start at roughly 3 mil from the end and just start patting that clay down ever so gently, because you don't want to ruin the shape of the front of the pendant, and just moulding that through with your little cocktail stick. Mould that through until you're sealing, if you like, all the edges of the clay together. What you've got to remember is what we're making here is the bail to the pendant, so you want a really strong join in this area. And then we can just, using more flatter edge of the cocktail stick, a more broader edge, smooth those all off to create a really neat finish. Just like so. So that when you cook it, you know it's going to be bonded together. We go right round to the front, and you'll see we've got our bail, we've got our knot, and then to finish, we can either continue that bail to make a bracelet design, which we'll see in just a moment, or you can use it as a pendant design. Now to finish the pendant design, you simply, again, make sure your little strands of clay are stuck together. Grab your clay tool and finish. Instead of just cutting straight down, which will give a really almost blunt finish to it, carry on the flow of the piece and cut
just on that angle.
On that angle again, to give you a more shaped finish to the knot itself. Now, at this stage, again, we can either add the glitter now if you want to create something that just has a hint of glitter, or we can go and bake it. And again,
I want to go and bake it.
I want to go and bake it right now so we can finish this. But what you would bake it, again, same as before, 120 for 10 minutes, depending on your oven. As I said earlier, just test these things out. And then take it out, let it cool, pop it back in for another 10 minutes at 120. Just so you know, all of these edges are baked and stable. I mean, I have to tweak all my pieces before I finished with them. You see, I'm just pushing that together, pushing the ends together, making sure I know when it comes to sit on the neckline, because I've made it on a flat tile, it's going to sit flat on the neckline because I'm using that tile as a basis. I'm using that.
And for those of you who haven't used Sculpey clay before, literally go to your local tile shop and you can pick them up for, I got mine in a clearance bin for about 20p.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant surface to work on with your polymer clay, because your polymer clay doesn't stick to it. Absolutely fine. It doesn't need encouragement to come off the surface. And also you can pick the entire tile up if you've got lots and lots of knots and lots of designs on your tile, and put it straight into your oven as well.
Yeah, bake it on the tile. That's what I've done.
Just obviously be very careful when it comes out the oven. It'll be, because it keeps the heat inside the tile. If you wanted to then make a bracelet version of that, so that's the pendant finishing with the edge, what we'll do, if I just grab some more clay and extrude a little bit more.
I love this extruder. So just so you know, on your screen at the moment, here, $7.95, that's for the various different colours. So whilst Hannah's just loading us up, I'll talk you through these colours once again. There's the green, the blush, the turquoise, the white granite, and the purple. So $7.95 usually, $1.95 a packing, so a great little saving for you there. And at the bottom of your screen, I'll talk you through that little package for you a little later in the show.
Okay, so we're just extruding through again. It doesn't actually take a lot of clay. I mean, all of these knots...
Excuse me, I'm just going to get that set up.
All of these knots and things are made just from 1/4 of the block. So you see, if I grab one of the blocks are split. Oh, I can't even see it that way. The blocks are split into quarter sections. So I've only used 1/4 to create what you can see in front of you at the moment. So it does go quite a long way. So again, as before, same technique. We're just rolling through the extruder, pushing that clay through, and making essentially what is a cord or a ribbon to tie our knots in. Again, squeaking, as is normal. And just extruding.
So you don't need to think about You don't need to worry, basically.
No, you don't need to worry if it's squeaking. And what would be really interesting is if you tried out the different cutters and tied knots to get different looks. If you use one of the flat cutters, it will come out and you can probably tie bows in it because it's just like a ribbon, like our organza ribbon here, rather than as this is like our cord.
So really, the key to this is as long as you've conditioned the clay,
yeah, the clay
it won't break. You can really manipulate it and move it. Okay.
I mean, you have to not work quickly with clay because there's no mistakes with clay, but every time the clay is out in the open, it is taking on air, it's taking on dust particles as well. So after a while, it does come a little bit brittle, so you're best off to just recondition it again or use new clay. So, to make the bracelet version, I'm going to take something that's just slightly longer, and you'll see why, because I don't want to get to a point where I haven't got enough length to make my bails. So I'm going to cut that down, and next to it, cut another length of the same size, cutting that down using my blades. And again, it's the same knot, so we take one side, feed the loop underneath it, grab the two tail pieces, and just pull those through as well. And again, lifting it and just moulding that around, again making sure I'm holding all of the clay, making sure that it's got structure and strength. I'm forming that knot. Now, in the case of the bracelet, we're going to make two bails to it. So we're going to turn that over. We're going to feed one side back around, just as we did before. But I'm making just a slightly chunkier bail on this side because I want it to be a feature. I want to be able to put my cord through there of different thicknesses and make a feature of this bail.
Yeah, and you don't want it to sit particularly flush on the front, then, do you? Or
no.
on the back, because it's going to go around the bend of the wrist.
It's going to go around the bend of the wrist, exactly.
Okay.
So again, as before, cutting down at an angle and removing the excess clay. And at this point, rather than start sort of fiddling around and moulding that clay into place, I'm going to take my other side, bend that back around on itself. And this is where you have to be a little bit careful because obviously you want it to be the same as your other side. Hold that in place and cut down at an angle. You see, I'm just checking that I'm making sure I'm picking up the blade the right way as well. There we go. So we've got essentially.
And for those people who won't know what you mean about that,
yeah,
the blade.
So we've got one edge, I don't know if it's going to be picked up on camera, we've got one edge which is the blade, which is the cutting side, and it's almost beveled. And then the other edge is the edge that you hold with your fingers. So the top edge there in shot is your cutting edge, which is beveled.
I've put the edge that I cut with, I've just put some Tipp-Ex.
It's probably a good idea.
Sorry, the edge that I hold.
don't pick up the wrong way.
Yeah, so, and then just identify it just for safety reasons.
So we've got to this stage where we've got two bails for a bracelet design, and we're just going to mould and encourage the clay. So I know when it cooks that it's going to stick together, and we're just putting that clay round on both sides, pushing that down into place. And you can see as I'm doing so, I'm holding both sides of the clay because that too is encouraging the clay to stick together and mould. And again, using the flat, sort of wider edge, if you like, not flat, but wider edge of the cocktail stick, just to smooth it all over and neaten up the edges. So if we flip that over, you can see we've got your knot, but with two bails on as well. So we've got your pendant and your bracelet component piece as well. Now at this stage, I would cook these. I'm not going to add the glitter at this stage, I'm going to cook them. And again, you can cook both of them or save them, make a whole batch of them, use different colours, different coloured glitters as well. And you can make really interesting designs. Or you could make bracelets and pendants and necklaces that have several of these knots in rather than just the one that we see today. So when it comes to putting the glitter on afterwards, it's probably really obvious, but we'll just go through the technique anyway. We're going to use A4 paper. If you're working on your tile, it's a lot easier to work on an A4 sheet of paper on which to pour your glitter, because you can just simply pick it up, scoop it up and pour it back into the glitter pot as well. going to grab one of these. These are one of the little knots from earlier because this is baked.
Okay.
A little brush and a little dab of PVA glue.
Good old PVA.
Good old PVA.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is literally paint that glue over the entire surface. But you see, I'm using a small brush because if you're painting on the glitter onto this piece, you want to be able to get into all the areas. You want to be able to get inside all of the knot areas to make sure your clay is beautifully covered. So what we're doing, more glue there, more glue round, and to make sure that we're not going to then glue up the holes, you can just wiggle a cocktail stick in there to encourage the glue to come out. And this is always my favourite bit. Grab your glitter, making sure you've got your glue and everything out of the way, and sprinkle. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. And again, pick up with a cocktail stick and keep sprinkling. You want to get every edge covered. And don't worry about wastage, you're not going to waste anything here because we're working on the A4 sheet. We can pick that up later and then knock that glitter back into its pot as well. So obviously you've let that set at home, let that dry. And what you're going to end up with is a really, really thick coating onto the surface of your clay. Now if I hold up the piece that we made earlier alongside it, you'll see the PVA piece on the left has a much, much, much thicker coating than the piece in my other hand, the larger piece here. So if you want that opulent finish to it, it's best to go with the PVA version. Bake it first and add the PVA and the glitter afterwards to create that. So that in essence is how we go through this tutorial. We then bake these pieces and then at that point we can add our cord. So if we just grab the bracelet one,
Yeah.
you can see what I've done here is again continued the theme of the knotting. Now you've got a big knot. I've put both threads, I've got two threads running through here, tied off so the centerpiece stays in place, and it also ensures the rest of the thread are bunched together as well to create a more designery look. And these go round to the back and they're simply finished on a extender chain as well.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you there, Hannah, because we have got another amazing glitter offer here. And they're really, really pretty, really, 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 really pretty. And they work perfectly with the clay collection that you've got here. So they perfectly match. So you've got the pink, the green, the purple, the blue, and the white. So this is referred to as the Fairy Dust Glitter Bundle. The code is HAIC63. And the price today, $9.95. And if you have a look, actually, it all works in context with the bundle that we brought to you earlier. Gorgeous. It's like it was planned, isn't it just? Yeah, fab, really fab. So the glitter goes, I mean, you can see, it goes a hugely, hugely, hugely long way. So with this one, you literally, and that's four cords, and you're able to get them all into
one of the cord extender
fab
clasps as well. Now, for both of these pieces, I've literally just rolled my polymer clay out, and then I have added the matching colour glitter. But it would be really interesting to see the look of how you're going to get a base colour, perhaps if you want to do a base colour of red, and then add a layer of gold, which we can do because we've got plenty of polymer clay here to work with. So that, obviously you can make different designs, but if we take one of the red pieces, and this will be unbaked, so it's not going to stick entirely to the polymer clay, so it's just going to be a suggestion.
What would okay, I'm not going to ask that question because you just shouldn't do it.
No, we'll go on.
What would happen if you put the PVA on it before you bake it?
Does
the plastic affect it?
Yeah, I think you're better off just to bake it first,
it.
because if you try and cook it, it's not going to cook well with the PVA on. So you can create really different looks. You see there, you've got the red showing through of the polymer clay. But you've got this beautiful sheen to the surface of it, and it almost looks, you know, like tonal, more orangey, more antique gold look to it.
A cinnamony feel to it.
And that's, you know, it's interesting to experiment with these different colours and these different designs to see what kind of creations you can make. I mean, black polymer clay knots with a gold finish to them would be amazing.
Yeah, quite Dolce & Gabbana.
Very Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah, lovely. Cool. So I think what this also shows is that the versatility of the polymer clay, and if you can start thinking about different ways. I mean, my goodness me, I know a lot of people make poppies and donate the proceedings to the profit, to the British Legion, and then there's so many scopes, particularly with the charity ribbons, to take this that further. I think just to see the malleability. Is that a word?
Yeah, malleability.
Yeah. I'm no. Is that a word? It's been a long day so far. Almost 12 hours, in fact, at 10 to 3. Not good. But yeah, you can see the versatility of this a lot.
Well, why not? Let's give it a go. Why not make a ribbon for something like breast cancer campaign? Because you've got the pink polymer clay there. We've got the pink glitter.
Oh, okay.
That would be fun.
Cool. Okay. Do you so in terms of the polymer clay that's now in the extruder, how do we go about getting that out? Okay,
so you want to change over your clay. Let's unwind our extruder. I'm now covered in glitter. Unwind the extruder, and we have got a length of clay left in there. So I'm just going to gently take my disc off, put that to one side, and then gently, I don't want to screw the extruder all the way down, because you don't want to cross thread it. You can run the risk if you screw it too far of that. If you see, can you see inside? Yeah, you've got the little disc, the little plunger in there. If you screw too far and that comes out, if you like, it's really, really difficult to put that back together. So I always say leave at least 10 mil at the top of your threads before it hits the top of the extruder. Okay. And then you know you're never going to ruin it or
now, the one thing that I've noticed, actually, and having used polymer clay myself, is that the colours don't transfer onto your fingers, apart from the colour red.
Yeah, red
tends to have a slight tinge. So in an ideal world, at this point, if you were going to start working with another colour, particularly after you use it, well, it's the red. I haven't experienced it with any of the others, but at this point, it'd be great to wash your hands off.
Yeah, wash your hands off, or baby wipes are great for work with polymer clay.
I've got quite a lot of those.
Okay, so because we've just used the extruder with the red, obviously inside my little cap there, I've got a little build-up of red clay. What I can do is, taking one of my cocktail sticks, I can literally, following the threads, run that cocktail stick around and just scoop out that excess clay. And it's all about just taking your time with these pieces, just so you know that you're not going to get any colour transference if you're changing colours. And again, the same with the extruder itself. You can just get a little cotton bud and just clean that out as well, so you know you're not going to taint your pink colour with anything else.
So for the sake of live TV right now, we'll speed you through that process. So a little bit more care will have been taken to make sure that it's definitely all gone. Okay. Is there anything that you could use inside the extruder to clean it other than the cocktail stick, or would you recommend that's the best way to go?
It's just a cotton bud. You don't want to put anything like water inside it, because you've got metal components. Yeah. Okay. So this is going to come out quite gold because I've got gold glitter on my hands. But it will be fun. See how it works. And again, just conditioning the clay and rolling that into a sausage that will fit inside the extruder.
Okay, so you're rolling it and then
bending it, and I can see that hasn't cracked. It's nice and warm in the studio. Squeeze and roll. We know that's going to be completely conditioned to go inside the extruder. Let's cut that down a little bit. Okay, we'll pack that in, and grabbing our disc, extruding. And it's always, it sounds very simple to say, but if you're using the extruder, make sure that you're putting that end cap on tight, because the last thing you want is to start extruding and then it all to come apart because you're putting too much pressure on that end piece. So again, rolling that through, nice and squeaky. And so we've got a nice length of pink polymer clay, or blush polymer clay in this case. You see, I'm rolling that down until we get through. And that's probably going to be enough. We can cut that off. So at this stage, we would probably end up making the same knot that we've done before, or you can look online and look up the different sort of ribbon corsages, if you like, and create those in the different colours if you're looking to sell for charity and raise money.
Yeah, this really interests me. I like that.
So there we go. Cut that side down as well. And again, feed one side over, grabbing the end tails as well, and pulling. And again, just encouraging that round. So we made a lovely knot to that piece, and then flipping it over, creating a bail, and cutting that down at an angle. And again, moulding it. It's all the same technique, but you're seeing how it works for different colours and how those different colours work together to create really different looks. And again, flattening that down to ensure the polymer clay bakes on itself. And on this side, if we're going to make a pendant, take the two lengths and cut them down at an angle. So,
Not the pink.
let's have the pink. Let's see how it happens. So obviously you can see I've got a little bit of glitter transfer because I'm working on screen. If you're working at home, you would take time to clean off everything.
Even just a fresh piece of paper.
Yeah, a fresh piece of paper works wonders. And the great thing about that, let's have a look at that glitter. It's all iridescent, so you've got really nice sparkle.
Yeah, it's lovely.
To that, it's going to be
Really girly,
eye-catching, really
Bubblegum
girly.
pinks, Disney
Full-on
princess
pink
pinks,
colour.
isn't it?
And we're just going to really cover that all with your pink glitter, turning it round, covering both sides, covering
It really
the edges.
is like a Disney princess.
It really is. It looks
pink.
so pretty. And at this stage, you can just lightly rub the glitter into the surface as well, just to make sure you're getting all of those little areas covered.
See, I'm thinking the October half terms. I know the schools have only just gone back, but the October half term will be here before you know it. And I think with my godchildren, when they come and stay, this would just be brilliant to do with them.
I mean, that has created the exact colour of the ribbons, hasn't it, for the charity?
Yeah,
so you can
golly,
then
yeah.
sell these. We're coming up to October, which is the right month for the breast cancer campaign as well. So why not make your jewellery work for other people and invest your profits back into charity for these pieces?
Absolutely.
It's all about giving back, isn't it? And that's just really pretty colour. And you're making fun, funky pieces of jewellery at the same time as well.
Yeah, fab. Really fab. Hannah, thank you so much. So we're just going to recap the bundles that we've been able to offer to you during this masterclass today. So the first one is literally the whole ingredients for the 3 pieces that the whole masterclass was based upon. And that is indeed the red, which is pomegranate red. And then you've also got the gold, which is the accents. Remember, if you see accents on the front of one of the packets, it means something else has been included in there. And in this instance, you've got this delicate gold glitter running through. So you get those 2 packs, then 200 of the jump rings, which have been saw cut. Once again, that means that they have been cut completely precisely. So when they join together, they literally go straight together rather than having one pointed end and one flush end that would happen if you were to cut these with pliers. So they have been saw cut, 200 of those. Then you've got 2 pots of glitter, 1 in the gold and 1 in the red, and then 10 meters of the black satin cord. And that really gives the elegance, the fact that that's the satin as well. GC26. So if you're loving the pieces that Hannah has made and you want to be able to copy exactly the same, the complete ingredients are here. The only thing actually that you'd need is the ribbon or the cord ends. You could actually do them with a sliding knot. You don't even need those, do you? You don't actually need them. So everything you do need, however, is included there for just £11.95. Once again, the code is GNGC26. Now the next thing that we needed to focus on was the extruder, of which I have here. And the extruder exactly the same as Hannah has been using. And here you can see very clearly the 20 discs that you get. And when you pop those in, it's just fun to see the different shapes that come out.
Absolutely.
And if you do want to do your Father Christmas hair, then I think it's this one that's particularly fine with all the little holes in. That's lots of fun, just there. So 20 discs. The Extruder, amazing value for money. You've got a little plastic pot as well that you can keep all of those discs in, so you're all self-contained and neat and tidy. MGZX51. Try this one out, and I'll tell you, if you haven't yet got this and you're into polymer clay, this is the addictive bit. It's seriously therapeutic as well.
It's definitely. I mean, we have got Debbie Bolford, obviously our polymer clay expert, has just finished filming our Extruder DVD, which will be coming in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, great.
So if you do grab this now, it's a perfect opportunity to come in and get it, because we will be showing other techniques with Debbie on the DVD launch.
$7.95. Okay, and then the next element we looked at was the pack, the pack of the different colours. So there was the green, the purple, the white granite. Again, it's an accent, so you've got, it's like a faint gold glitter running through. Would you say that's? It's very glitter.
Almost textured, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the turquoise and the blush, of which we've established is the perfect pink if you are going to be doing your charity pieces. Interestingly enough, actually, if I can just grab that for a second, you'll see that once it is extruded out, it does go a little bit lighter.
It does go lighter. It's the same with gold as well. The gold goes lighter extruded.
Oh, is that right? So obviously that's got the glitter on, so it's taken a little bit of a different look once again. And for the 4, usually $1.95 each. $7.95 for all 5. Fab. And then to match in with that as well, you've got the pink, the turquoise, the white, the purple, and the green of the glitters. Now, we'll just bring the price on screen. I just want to talk about these a little bit further. And so, so for all 5 of those that match to the clay pack that we've just done, HAIC63 for just $9.95. Now, for somebody who hasn't gone into the whole world of enamel yet, it's something that I haven't had the opportunity to do. Am I right in thinking we could use the glitters with the enamel as well?
Yeah, absolutely. You can add these as you're melting your jewel enamel and add them directly to the jewel enamel itself. Or again, just like we can with polymer clay, you can add it to the surface as it's cooling, and it will cement to the surface as well.
Okay, fab. And is there any scope at all for, if we were going to work with it with Perspex, we'd literally be looking at a gluing on situation?
You can glue it on with Perspex, or you can try it out with resin as well, so you can make components of resin.
Oh wow, yeah.
Again, it's something I love working with, because it's something that's a bit different, and again, because you're using ultrafine glitter, it's not going to sink in your resin designs. Quite often with heavier glitters on the market, you end up with just a layer of glitter at the bottom of your design and nothing through the surface of it. So these are really great for working with resin as well.
Fabulous. Cool, cool. So all of these are going to be photographed and put up onto our website. And in the meantime as well, if you would like to have a look at the masterclass again, I think this has been a brilliant opportunity to see the glitter involved, just how to get your head around it. I know some of you are incredibly advanced and this will have been a basic scenario, but for example, my mum, who has never done it before in her life, who I know has been watching this afternoon, Hannah, thank you so much.
No,
I think the beauty of working with you, Hannah, is you are so articulate that it is incredibly clear what you're saying, and it's because, quite frankly, she's so knowledgeable and her articulation is absolutely spot on. You've been incredibly clear. That's a very concise and perfect demonstration. Much appreciatedness, darling.
No, thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much, and keep an eye out for other masterclasses that are coming your way. If perhaps we haven't mentioned one that you'd be interested in, why don't you send us a little email studio@jewellerymaker.com, or pop a little message up on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is monitored, however messages might not get through as having direct contact with us, so if you'd like to do that, to studio@jewellerymaker.com, the same email address that you would send in your Wall of Fame entries. And you never know, we may well see versions of this, and if you do want to do the charity ribbons, do let us know how much money you're able to raise as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much to Hannah. Thank you so much to all of the crew. Thank you to you guys. Remember, keep adding to your order for only one post and packaging price all day. Have a wonderful rest of your day.